Welcome to another edition of the Get Made Podcast. I'm going solo today, y'all. I gotta let my man, he on vacation this week up in the Natty, getting some good food, but he'll be back next week. So we're just gonna drop in this week. And actually, this is a day after Father's Day. So I want to kind of have a real discussion on that. And you know, Father's Day for many men feels, one of the things that is problematic for us a lot of times. It feels like an afterthought, right? It comes right a month right after Mother's Day, right? And you seen moms get all type of good gifts, Gucci bags and spa days and all type of different things that dinners, big dinners, and all the flowers and all this type of stuff here, which is good. We ain't hating on Mother's Day. Pick up all the mothers out there who hold it down, in various situations, right? But what I'm talking about today is brothers. How for us fathers, how it seems a little off kilter. It's like the traditional thing is you might get some socks, get something for the grill. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, he gonna be on the grill. He ain't nobody even grilling for him on Father's Day. He's probably gonna be the one on the grill, right? And things like that, right? That makes Father's Day seem a little. Oh, we ain't gonna complain. So I'll make this sure that's clear. We're not gonna complain. I want us to actually take this thing a little higher, though, and look at Father's Day from another perspective. For those of us who observe it, now, because everybody don't observe it, right? And that's all well and good, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, what we're really talking about is how one is feeling appreciated. And I think that's been a concern for many men on various different levels. Father's Day is just another one of them. How there seemingly feels like a lack of appreciation. It's an afterthought, right? So how do we celebrate fathers? How fathers don't feel like they're being celebrated, right? One is, it's feeling like this day is not really taken serious. It's not given its just due, right? Secondly, I think this is kind of a situation where we have got caught up in men as, of course, protectors and maintainers. That translate into me only mean I got to provide. A man is supposed to just provide, right? And so the man who may not have as much means or many means or a lot of means or whatever, but he tries to give that time over. Because in America now, just keeping this 100, time is money, until it comes to dealing with your family, right? Everywhere else, time is money until it comes to dealing with your family, right? But then money is still money when it comes to dealing with your family. So you kind of get off. You lose me with that a lot of times, because if time is money everywhere else, other than when you're dealing with your family, but then money is money everywhere else, including dealing with your family, then somewhere along the line, this guy who doesn't have the incredible means getting ready to lose out. So what I'm talking about, that guy who's more of a nurturer as well, right? He spends the time. He tries to do the homework, or he tries to do, he tries to be there, right? He's at school functions, or he's at games, or he's at various different places, and he's doing various different things, trying to put in that what looks like quality time with his kids. But it's not really being looked at because, something's getting said to them. He's not bringing enough money, or he's not doing this, and he's not paying this, he's not doing that, right? And so in that, you look at the guy who, now I'm not talking about the guy who's just saying, he ain't gonna try to do nothing else, right? That might be a problem too, right? He refuses to do something, and he exists as well, right? So I want to make sure that these these areas are being hit, because I don't want anybody to wiggle out of what it is I'm trying to say, because sometimes you get a crack and you exploit it and you turn it into a canyon, right? You just get a little crack, then you exploit it. What that means is that you take this little bitty piece right here, then you blow it up to something that's major and huge without really listening to the full context of what's taking place, right? So I'm not talking about that guy who, this is where he's at, but he's on the fringe of things, right? He's an outlier. He's not really the mean. He's not really the medium here, right? He's not really the main person here. So because you have a lot of men who turn their pockets inside out for their family, right? For their kids, for their family, for their wives, or whatever, for their home. They turn their pockets inside out. Not only do they give all their money, but they also get a lint. Everything come out their pocket, right? And they have no problem with it, right? But sometimes that becomes a problem when, you can't provide for us fully, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. When, he's really stretching himself to the utmost to be able to do what it is that he can do, right? That's if he have his own kids, he's with the woman with his own kids, let alone if he's with a woman who also has kids by someone else. He's trying to do that there and trying to do for his own kids, right? So now he's double timing it, right? And that guy is not really looked at. He's getting a lot of flack. I ain't gonna tell no lie. I ain't trying to tell nobody he needs to get his behind kissed, but he needs to be appreciated a lot more than he's being appreciated, right? So I'm never going to tell anybody to kiss anybody's behind, because at some point that's going to, that's going to make a person, that's going to make something lopsided, right? I'm not saying that. That's going to bring about mistreatment and even possible abuse, right? That's not what I'm talking about. And so, by all means, Hassan is not saying for nobody to be kissing nobody behind around here. I'm not saying that, but there is a level to what appreciation looks like, right? And next, I want this to kind of be looked at is, and I'm going to, in this last one here, I'm actually going to combine something, right? I'm going to combine something because I think it's important. This Father's Day thing is not a time to be airing out your grievances with your father, right? How he didn't show up for me, how I didn't do this, how he didn't do this, how he didn't do that. You know, real talk, and then you get on social media and act like this is your personal therapist, right? This isn't the place, right? Get you a therapist. If you need if you having some healing that you need to do in that, I'm not gonna sit there and say that you probably don't. If you got some healing to do in that, the internet is not the place to do that healing, right? And now somebody says, "Well, you can't tell me what to heal and all this." Well, I'm saying to you, you're adding confusion to the already confusing world when you put that out there, and that's not the way it's supposed to take place, right? Actually, we are supposed to shield society from the harms of a person, right? We supposed to, some say, flee the clouds of fitna for the Muslims who are out there. And for those who don't know, if we say flee the clouds of confusion, right? Stay away from those clouds. And so when we start airing out our stuff online, we actually run into the clouds. We run into the darkness. We run into the storm, right? And that's not how we should be looking at dealing with one another. And so if you have healing that needs to take place, by all means, now you're going to do what you do. I'm saying it's not a good thing to do this online. And especially for men who are actually trying to do the work out here, why then damper their day by doing this or saying, derogatory things or all this whole type of stuff here? Why rain on their parade? Because that's what you're doing. Now, and this is men or women, because, I don't want nobody to think that this is just women who do this. This is men or women, right? And nigga ain't done this for me, or blah, 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 blah. You weren't there for me, all this whole type of stuff here. Okay, you ain't got to air that out online, right? He probably wasn't there for you, right? And he probably wasn't there because I've seen many cases now where men or adult children are finding out that actually he was trying to be there, but the mom was kind of keeping the situation. She was kind of running interference in that situation. So, there's always two sides to a story, right? Get the story before you go to airing out your end of it. Get the story. He may not even have the capacity to be there. Maybe your mama just chose the wrong dude to kind of conceive with. And unfortunately, you here, but I'm just going to keep this up. You know what I mean? She know that dude wasn't no good when she was kicking it with it. All right? So, I know that's going to sound hard, but I'm just saying, but this is not the place to air that out, because there's some dudes who trying to do it right. They've not been perfect. It's not been perfect. Right? He hasn't been perfect, but he's trying his best to do it right. He's putting in the real 100% effort to do what's right, to try to make that thing right. So just have a little bit more to yourself, have a little bit more management over yourself in that situation, and knowing that, hey, this ain't about me. This is about other men who try to make this thing happen, right? And so then in dealing with you, because I don't want you to be left out there by yourself, I am saying, if you are having some healing issues when it comes to a parental, this is a parental situation. If you're having some issues in a parental thing, by all means, get you some professional help. Get you some professional help. Don't get no amen corners. People gonna be in your comments, yeah, man, yeah, girl, all this old type of stuff here, because they don't know what the hell they talking about, right? They ain't doing nothing but trauma bonding, and you ain't doing nothing but trauma dumping, right? Get you some real help, and that's just a real situation there. Get you some real help, and then try to do whatever it might be to reconcile. And maybe you may not be able to reconcile that situation with a parent. Maybe that parent is who they are, and you have to accept them for who they are. Then, we talk about these stages of grief, and, you go through these stages of grief, but, they always talk about 5 stages of grief, but actually there's a 6th stage that we really don't talk about. And that's finding meaning. After you get to some acceptance, find some meaning in that situation, so you don't be the person who continues to carry that on. Right? This is how we should be able to make things take place, so we can then function with each other on a higher level than how we function right now. We're not even dealing with low-hanging fruit at this point. Right now, we're really not even dealing with low-hanging fruit. What we're actually dealing with is just true fruit on the ground, right? And once fruit hit the ground, the stuff start rotting out. It ain't gonna really last long. It start decomposing and all that other type of stuff here. This is how we're functioning with each other, based upon a level of decomposing, and it's not good. And we're going, it's a serious race to the bottom. And so I want everyone to, be in a position to, at the Get Made podcast, of course, is manhood, accountability, development, enrichment. You know, um, men are in a position that, yeah, we have to be accountable. We have to stand accountable. We have to develop. Some of us aren't developed. Some of us are still looking for the tools for enrichment, the tools to get better. Because yeah, we are men and we are trying to build upon manhood. But we also need the space and the latitude to be able to do that. And when we have these other conversations that then is competing with or overshadowing that appreciation of manhood itself, it makes the job harder. It makes the fight harder. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's unfortunate, but men are human too, and what they'll do is check out. Like real talk, women check out in their way, and men check out in their way, right? And let me show you a way how women check out. They bring a lot of confusion to the table. They bring a lot of chaos to the table, right? That's a checkout. What they check out in, they checked out of a proper etiquette in dealing with issues, coming up with solutions. So and how men check out in a way that they won't be bothered with a situation. And in some instances, they just eventually go ahead and leave a situation alone. And that's not good either, right? Because we are here to be with one another, to help one another towards righteousness and piety. We're here to be able to, call each other to the excellence that God has ordained for us to strive for. That's why we're here. But we have to have that focus and get that guidance to be able to do that. We have to get that tool. We say, guys, we're trying to get that tool in order to be upon that, right? And so I want to say to all the fathers out there, the fathers, the bonus fathers, the surrogate fathers, the person who's down the street who's been acting like a father figure to kids and everything around, and he ain't been up there, he ain't even trying to be in a position that he's trying to knock off the mama at the house and all this other type of stuff here. He ain't got them type of intentions. He's just trying to be a good dude. Salute. You know, got my little thermos here from the Sleep for Suckers. You tell you a lot, man. I feel like I'm right now because I haven't gotten no sleep. I've been getting no sleep trying to come up with content, right? But shout out to David Shands, but salute to all the men who's trying to do some things right out here, who's trying to, even in the lack of perfection, they still trying to push it. They're still trying to make things happen. Even in setbacks, they taking a step back. They're still trying to take a step forward, take 2 steps forward, even when they get a setback. And all those things that come with lifing, adulting. Salute to you and salute to those who honor you in this day. Hey, y'all have a great one next week. We're going to have my main man, Brother Salim, back. Check him out on his content on Brother Salim TV on TikTok. I think Salim Abdul Mutakalam on Facebook and Instagram, I believe that it might be. But y'all can check him out on there, of course. Continue to support his content. He's doing some great things out here, and he's making some great strides as a young man. I love him. I love him to death. Also, continue to support the Get Made podcast by subscribing to us here on YouTube, and tell a friend. Always tell a friend. Pass this along. Share this information. Also follow me, of course, here on Facebook at Hassan Clay, and on Instagram and TikTok at the Hassan Clay Experience. Also, check out my website, HassanClay.net. I got some great stuff on there. Just trying to put some good information up there, as well as the Muslim Wellness Summit in Baltimore, Maryland, June 27th, 28th. It's going to be a great event. It has some great speakers there. And we're going to be talking about things like this. We're going to how we can make this wellness wheel take place for us on a proper level, how we can do some things right and manage ourselves and our discomforts when things come about. Because at the end of the day, as you know, everyone's favorite therapist told me the other day, we just can't have behind mental health. We have to be serious about it, right? And we have to give us our full attention. But we have to do this for the whole spectrum, the whole wellness spectrum, right? Of course, you can check my book out on my page on my website, Taming the Storm: Understanding and Overcoming High Conflict Personalities for a Peaceful Life. Hey, I want to say this to everyone too. You guys have really been supportive of me with this book, right? I've been selling this book. This book has been selling. It's been nice. The stream is steady, right? And I want to continue to get this in, because the only thing that's telling me is that that's getting this information out there. So we can do something a little different, right? We can do something better, because that's what it really comes down to. And I'm sitting up here at night. That's what I'm saying. This sleep is for suckers. I believe that, because I'm sitting up nightly trying to figure out. I got a new books coming. As a matter of fact, I got 2 books. One to be released at the end of the year, and then probably one to be released I'm just putting them out, period, stretching them out, spacing them out. But I got 2 books I'm actually getting ready to put out, right? Because you guys have allowed me the creative juice. I mean, you guys have really got in behind me. Yeah, when people talk to me, a lot of times, I wish more comments would come on the page about different things. But nevertheless, but that's just for algorithms at the end of the day. That's an algorithm push, right? Because I get a lot of things in inbox and different stuff like that. I get various people stopping me on, when they see me out or whatever. And I'm hearing a lot of good stuff. And, I would love the algorithms to be pushed a little bit more, because then it allow it to go out to different places and different people. More people get to see it. So this is why we ask for you to share it, right? We want more people to get this information. But you're getting the information, and I thank you for that. I thank you for that. Is the situation perfect? No. But practice makes improvement. The more we try to stay at it, if we're not in the game, then we have no call in the game. And right now, by Allah's permission, by the grace of God, we are in the game. And I'm only able to be in the game because you guys are listening. So I want to thank you. I want to tell you my appreciation to you guys. I really appreciate you. And we're going to see you guys next week here again at 7 p.m. on Monday. That's the day that each episode air. And again, thank you. All right. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.